stone that I want to put in a silver setting, I first measure out some bezel wire that will go around the stone, fold it over to get the shape, and the purpose of the bezel is to keep the stone in place. And so I will trim this, and I will solder the ends together, and then this will get soldered onto a sheet of silver. So these two ends of the bezel wire are going to fit together, and to make sure that they stick together, I am going to solder them together. So what I like to do is to make sure that the ends are touching when you solder. I like to put some little fire-resistant nails to keep it in place. Because solder won't enclose large gaps. It will put together pieces that are touching. So I'm going to put a drop of flux right where the seam is. I'll make sure this gets closed back together. Go ahead and stick one pin right there to keep it secure. And I'm going to cut a little square of solder. And that little bit of solder is going to go underneath the bezel wire. That way when it heats up, the solder will flow upward into the seam and bind the two ends together. Make sure they're still nice and flush. All right. Now we're ready to hit it with the torch. And I'm heating around the bezel, not letting the flame touch the piece directly. We want the whole piece to heat up evenly so the solder will flow. Hit it a little bit on the inside, but mostly just going around slowly. You can see where the solder jumped up and into the seam. There's no longer a little square. That solder material is now right there, right where the two bits of silver are joining. And now we're taking our soldered bezel and we are placing it in a chemical pickle with copper tongs. And that will help clean off the fire scale. We use copper tongs because if you use stainless steel, the pickle will actually copper plate the piece that you have, and it will in turn compromise the pickle. So this will help clean it off. We'll leave it in that heated pickle for just a few minutes. And so now our soldered bezel, it's going to go around the stone just to make sure that it fits. If it is too loose or too tight, you can always adjust it. But it looks like this is going to fit perfectly.